Hi, Patrick Valentino is my name, and I'm glad to be here. About 14 years ago, I completed university, and being the boy then, I had all these beautiful dreams. I wanted to get a job, I wanted to get a big job, and I ran my life like any other person. And when I was at university, I used to tell my friends that, hey, after university, I'm going to employ a lot of people and I'll head a big country program supporting vulnerable communities. And a few years down the road, 1 year down the road, I got myself into the job market and I got a job. And I worked so hard that I was promoted from a junior position to the topmost position as a CEO of an NGO. And when I got to the topmost job in the corporate ladder, I was so excited. I thought I had reached my dream. But as I got into the job, I got so busy. Life became so busy. But in my pocket, I wasn't seeing money. I was so busy at the job, but I wasn't seeing money. And I worked so hard that my main job was to fundraise for this organization. And I raised about $1.5 million in 3 years of being on that job. And I was very successful by any standard. And because I was working so hard, a young man working so hard. And one day, I wake up to my routine from home, go to work. I sit on my desk and I find a letter. I'd been fired that morning. My boss just fired me, and I sat and felt very vulnerable and helpless. I asked why. What did I do? The truth was, I did nothing at all, and the boss probably was just tired of me. So it was difficult for me to accept the reality at that time, but it was the truth. I just got fired. So I packed my bags and left, and I got home and I was thinking, what is it exactly that life has got for me? In my life, I wanted to be successful, but there's one thing I always feared. I didn't want to do business, though I wanted to be successful and I wanted to be free. I wanted to be financially free. I admired all the great guys that have made it in life, all the rich people that I know or seen, they've made it in life. It was pretty difficult. One main thing that I didn't want to do was to sell. I was very poor. I felt I was not qualified to sell anything, and because I didn't want. So, but I started going on a personal development journey, and I started reading books about success. And I remember reading a book about Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That book opened my mind, and I started thinking. And one thing Kiyosaki emphasized was that if you want to be successful in business, do one thing, learn how to sell. So I'm like, so what business am I going to do? And as I kept reading and pondering upon all this, I started thinking business. I started thinking about business. What kind of business can I do? One day, I was at the coffee shop and I sat thinking about what to do. I was very broke. Life was difficult. And while I was sipping my coffee, a certain gentleman approached me. An Indian gentleman approached me and asked to join me in having the coffee. So I said, well, it's okay. So he asked me what I do. I told him I used to work, but I just got fired, so I have nothing to do. I'm thinking about what to do. So he said, wow, so unfortunate. So I asked him, what do you do? So he told me, I make people rich. So I was so curious. I said, what? You make people rich? He said, yes. So I asked, how? So he asked if he could explain to me how he makes people rich. And this guy tells me a lot about himself and tells me the business that he does. And what I was avoiding is what he actually told me. He told me he's a salesman, he's into network marketing, and he showed me how he makes money. And Fortunately, the company that he had told me about that he was doing, my workmate, my former secretary on the job, was also doing the same part time. But I didn't like what she was doing because I wasn't seeing any change in her. So this guy tells me that he's going to make me rich if I accept the business. So I said, now being a young man, I was thinking, okay, so what do I have to lose? How do I learn this business? I've never sold anything in my life. So I start with him, and he started teaching me. He told me, do this, the do's and don'ts about the business and how he's going to support me. And fortunately, we started out, and I started my first business in my life in 2012, and that was the network marketing business. I came into the industry with high expectations, and the guy told me, "You're going to succeed." I was going to succeed, and so on and so forth. I put my head to work. I started learning how the system works, and I started seeing some results, though they were not much. They're not that pleasant compared to the situation that I was. I needed money badly. That if results were not showing, each time I was going down, I was breaking down and crying. And what is this? So that was the journey, and that is how I started network marketing. This guy mentored me and held me up, and even when the times were tough, and I was doing it full time. Now, why? While I was doing my business, I was learning. Network marketing is like a school. While you are making money, you are also learning. So I learned a lot during the process. I stayed humble, I stayed hungry for success. I pursued my goal until I started I started seeing some results. It was tough. And network marketing nurtured me to think differently now. The job mentality left me, and I now started thinking business all the time. And I grew from one point to another, one step to another, one step to another, until when I mastered how to live without a paycheck. When I mastered how to live without a paycheck, my job now was to raise money. All the time I was raising money, I was selling myself, I was selling the opportunity that I had at that time. And the journey wasn't smooth, but the lessons that I picked from the journey was very important because it molded me now into the person that I am today. And along the way, I found another opportunity. And this is how I come into i-fern. When I compared what I had done before in the past and the experience that I gained, I feel I am very convinced that i-fern has the best product, the best compensation plan, and it is going to be a big success in Africa and the world over.